Welcome to In the Loop, the podcast that threads the world of crochet right into your ears. I am Brianna, your crochet companion, here to share stories, tips, and the joy of crochet. Whether you're seasoned or just beginning to explore the world of yarn, grab your favorite hook, a cozy spot, and an open mind. So let's get, oh my gosh. I'll keep that part. I'll keep that part.
Yeah.
So today we have a special guest, Dinah.
Hi.
Please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone. My name's Dinah. I'm originally from Chicago, but I recently moved to Atlanta. Love the city so far. And yeah, I'm a crocheter. I love to crochet. And that's I'm 22. That's real. Yeah. That's me.
So first we met online, I think in 2020.
It was during the pandemic.
Yeah, it was like during lockdown. And ever since, we've just been online crochet friends, but now we finally got to meet in person.
Finally.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about dealing with creative blocks, burnout, all that jazz related to crocheting. So let's get right into this episode. So first we're going to talk about how we can balance crochet work, with our daily lives, with school, with work, and yeah. So for me, I would say a schedule is the best thing to have because crochet is a very time-consuming job.
Very.
Yeah, and especially when you add on the content creation and actually crocheting, dealing with pattern making if you do that. Just trying to keep up with your followers too, because it does get hard trying to make time to reply to comments, DMs, emails, all of that.
Yeah, I feel like my problem is like whenever I get too busy, I'll just disappear.
Yeah.
I'll just like disappear for a couple months, and then once I finally come back, I have to work on getting my following and my engagement up to what it was before I left. And so definitely creating schedule is so very important. I need to do a much better job of that.
Yeah.
And I feel like especially now that I'm post-grad, now that I'm done with school, it's actually a lot harder for me to balance.
Why do you say that?
Because in school, it was like, okay, I was in class and like I'd have a final. I was a sociology major, so it was like papers, right?
Yeah.
So all I really had to do was do reading, right? And then I'd go to class, I show up to class, or I showed up to class and that was kind of it. So every time I was out of class, unless I had to prepare for a final or had a paper to write, I was basically free.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed about post-grad life, at least for me, like working, it exhausts me in a way that school doesn't. I don't know if y'all could relate, if y'all in y'all post-grad life, but like I feel like now that I have to work from 9 to 5 and that's it, like I don't have the breaks in between and I don't have as much flexibility as I did as a student. I find that even though I'm supposed to have more time, I can't use my weekends or I can't use my evenings to crochet as much because I'm just too tired.
Yeah.
I haven't come up with a solution for that. So if y'all have any pointers, please help me.
Did you ever have a job and went to school at the same time, or was it just crocheting?
So I had part-time jobs, never a full-time job, and it was like more so like student on campus type jobs.
Yeah.
So I was just doing homework and stuff like that. Like I didn't actually have to use my brain. Yeah. And that just might be the work that I do, but I really have to use my brain, and I think it's from 9 to 5 constantly is exhausting.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. But, I'm not, if you haven't gotten to that level yet, I'm not trying to scare you or anything. I feel like there is just this big adjustment point because I've spent so much of my life identifying as a student, and now to be in this phase where I honestly don't know what to identify as, and I'm learning like, what sort of career do I even want? Yeah. And then in terms of also juggling the crochet business, right? It's like, honestly, if I could have it my way, I'd just be doing that. I would just be doing that. Yeah. The job stuff, I would set it aside. But I think for me, it's really nice to just have financial security
Mm-hmm.
while I'm also trying to chase my passion.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, because although I love what we have going on right now, especially with the prices of everything going up,
Yeah.
it's not that sustainable
Yeah.
to be able to pay rent on, because it's like so wishy-washy. You don't know how much you're going to make each month.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to make this shift to focus on pattern making than making stuff for other people, just because I don't like having to deal with the shipping process all the time, and then dealing with other people's measurements is kind of hard for me when they're not here in person, so I can make sure it fits them perfectly, because at the end of the day, just having measurements can only do so much when it comes to the fit of a garment. So I will say I have been making that shift, and that has made it easier to balance school and everything with crocheting, because when I was making a lot of custom orders, it was a lot more stressful. But since now I have that passive income from the pattern making, it's a lot easier, and I feel like it puts less pressure on me to crochet, because now the stuff that I make is really just what I want to make, the art, and then I can use the sales from patterns to fund that art that I can share with other people. So I will say it made me happier, but it does make me make less money than I made from making custom orders and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, that's a really interesting balance, because like you said, crocheting takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
And so one, it's like getting people to understand how much time it takes, and therefore being willing to pay how much it takes. But also the balance of it also just takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
And so you really can't produce a lot, especially when you're just on your own. And so I definitely agree with you. Like when it comes to selling stuff, it's very hard, especially when you're trying to do more custom pieces, which is what I prefer to do. Because I'm the type of person, I just like to make it once and be done with it. But like when you're trying to make a business out of it, trying to balance still being creative while also trying to make money and really turn it into a business is definitely crucial.
Yeah, because I will say it kind of sucks the fun out of it whenever you have to keep making the same thing over and over again. But then at the end of the day, it is good to have a set of staple pieces on your site than everything being custom. But I don't know. That's why I just really backed away from that side. And I'm just focusing on making whatever I feel like these days.
Yeah. And honestly, with content creation, like, I'd be astounded by you, because honestly, you are pretty active when it comes to content creation, posting on your Instagram, making reels, and then also posting on your YouTube pretty consistently as well.
That's the hard part.
Like, how, especially because you are still a full-time student.
Yeah.
So how on earth do you even, like, how do you find the time to do all that?
Well, I will say, although I'm a student, as a business major, I would say I kind of have it easy in comparison to other college majors, because one, half of my classes are usually online, so it's not really a time commitment because it's a lot of busy work and just tests for the most part. And for my in-person classes, I mainly have 2 classes each semester in person, and I always have either all of my classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays or all of them on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So the rest of the week, I just have time to do whatever I want, and I'm a homebody, so I'm home most of the time.
Me too.
Yeah, I like binge watching things on Netflix. So when I do that, I just crochet. And that's when I like to do it, because it's just something I do while I'm already doing something else. But when it comes to like making videos and stuff, that's when I have to set aside certain times to do it, because I can't watch Netflix while making a tutorial.
Right.
Because I have to make sure I film everything and try to explain it instead of just trying out different things.
Pattern making to me seems really hard.
Yeah. I'll say, honestly, tutorials are kind of harder than patterns, because with me, I have to refilm things a million times, because if I say something wrong and I realize it post-recording, that's a hard fix. Or just, I might skip over things, but with the pattern, I can proofread and everything.
Yeah.
Make sure everything's right. Try to eliminate how many questions people will have. But with the tutorial, that's kind of hard to do.
Yeah.
And pictures are easier to take for patterns than recording a video, because sometimes it's out of focus, and then I have to refilm it. So video making definitely takes a long time. And then there's the editing process. So that's the hardest part. I say I'm the least active on my YouTube and compared to my social media pages. But I like making stuff like tutorials for people because I love tutorials. That really helped me when I started crocheting. So I want to do that for other people. But whenever I mainly freestyle my things, it's just most of the time I don't feel like recording a video.
Yeah, I feel you.
A lot of them are like in the spur of the moment. I'm like, oh, today I have some free time. I'm going to make a cool outfit. And then I don't want to make a video to make that process even longer.
Yeah. And that's my problem. Like, because I don't even crochet. I don't even do tutorials, okay? But like if I'm trying to like get content for YouTube or for Reels, like picking up my camera and interrupting my creative process is very difficult for me to do. It's just, I mean, it's fun, but I have to be in the mood for it. Yeah.
And a lot of the crochet with me is I start filming, but then I'm just like, I just want to finish making this. So, yeah. But it's definitely a lot to balance with content creation, crocheting, and school, but it is possible. It's just waking up early, going to sleep late. You can probably get a lot done, but you can only do it for so long until you get burnout.
Now, here's a question. What about like, where do you fit in like social life?
Social?
Or like self-care?
Okay. So with my social life, I wouldn't say I'm anti-social, but like I said before, I'm a homebody. So when I hang out with people, it has to be something that we already planned in advance so I can have my time to get ready to hang out with someone. Because I'm also an introvert, if y'all can't tell. I'm kind of shy. So it's kind of hard for me to be around people a lot because my social battery gets drained sometimes. But when I do hang out with my friends, it's probably like once or twice a week now. But when I was really active on Instagram, it was I barely hung out with people. Maybe like once every other month. Because yeah. How about you?
Honestly, I will just repeat everything you said. I'm also introverted. I also prefer being at home. I would definitely say, especially during the pandemic, like 2020, 2021, I wasn't hanging out with nobody. But you know, I feel like that's okay. You know, I feel like it's really just about trying to find the balance that works for you in the moment. I feel like I spent a lot of that time like being by myself, and that was good for me then. But I feel like now I'm at a point where I want to push myself a little bit more. Try to be a little bit more social and kind of force myself to step out of work. Because I feel like, to me, kind of what I've been thinking is, what do I want out of life? And even, why did I start my page in the first place? And I did it to be able to find peace and to be able to find some sort of joy and happiness, which was very much there in the beginning when I had zero expectations. But the more my account grew, the higher my expectations got for myself. I started kind of tugging away at some of the fun, and I forgot why I started the account in the first place. So I feel like taking that step back to be like, listen, at the end of the day, whatever you choose to do, it's for the ultimate goal of just trying to find peace and joy. And in this moment, even if I like crochet, even if I love crochet, even in this moment, if I'm not really feeling it like that, it's okay for me to step back and find something else that I can find joy in. I totally
agree, because I first started my page as an outlet during the pandemic because I didn't see my friends at school anymore. My parents wouldn't really let me go anywhere because I was still in high school. And they didn't want to get COVID, so I couldn't really go out and hang out with people to risk bringing it back to the house. So I would just do that so I would have something to spend my time doing. and to just connect with other people with a common interest while I was stuck inside of the house. But ever since, I'll say freshman year of college, that's whenever I put the most pressure on myself because over the pandemic, that's when my page really blew up. So
I saw it.
But that also made it have more pressure that I put on myself, not necessarily that other people put on me. But it's just like, if I make a hat, I'm like, that's not good enough to post. I have to make something amazing for it to be worth posting. And that's something that I still struggle with now because I still crochet a lot behind the scenes, but I'm like, I don't know if it's worth putting it on my page. So, yeah. But at least I make less, so I'm not just making stuff to post like I did back then. So I have improved on that front. And I do share my little things on my stories and on my reels sometimes. So it is a work in progress. But just try not to put so much pressure on yourself when it's supposed to be a hobby.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Yeah. And all of that can lead to burnout. So, like, let's say, think about a year. How much of that year do you feel like you're burnt out from either just life or just crocheting?
Probably about 95%.
Okay.
Probably about 95%. And again, I feel like it just comes from having the personality type that constantly puts a lot on me for no reason at all. But just always constantly expecting a lot of myself. And whenever I don't reach it, whether it's in my business, at school, or now at the job, in my friendships, in my like family relationships, or even in taking care of myself, I feel like I tend to just beat myself up a lot about it.
Yeah.
And that doesn't help me get up and fix it, you know? So definitely I would say burnout is something that I'm honestly dealing with constantly, just because I'm always in my own head. And that's why I would say like 95%.
Yeah, that's understandable. For myself, I would say probably 70% of the time, because I've never had a real full-time job or anything. The only job I had was at Joann for like 2 months, and then I just gave that up because it was too much. But I just go through phases for the most part. Like, I crochet a million things for like a week, and then after that, maybe I'll take a break for a month or so, and then I get back to it. So it's just a lot of stop and go. But that's how I've always been my whole life with anything. Like, if it's playing a game, I'll do it a lot for a little bit, and then I just stop. So I feel like it might just be being young.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
it's like you said, like there's these sprints.
Yeah.
And then taking so much time to kind of recuperate after that sprint.
Yeah. So I've been trying to work on just doing it in moderation regularly, especially since I have my market coming up, so I can't really just stop. Yeah, and I'm really excited for that. So if you're in the Atlanta area, there's going to be a market October 22nd, and you can come support if you'd like.
Okay,
but
drop the deets.
Yeah, I'll put it in the description below. I'll put the flyer and everything on my story. So yeah, I'll have accessories and stuff if you like that. But yeah, so now I can't really afford to not crochet. So I've just been spending probably a couple hours a day crocheting instead of spending all day like I did in the past, because I feel like doing those big sprints really lead to burnout, especially when you have a social life you try to maintain, school, work. It's just a lot whenever you're crocheting for like 10 hours in a day, and you still need to take care of yourself, because in high school I would just stay up till like 4 a.m. I would just not eat until I'm done for the day. But
do you still do that?
Not anymore.
Okay.
Not anymore. But that's how it was back then when I was really posting constantly.
You were.
Yeah.
You were. I mean, it paid off.
Yeah, but it was just so unnecessary. And I learned from that. So at least that's something good that came out of it. But
I had a question, but it lost me. we really started like in the pandemic. So how many years is that? That's 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. What is that? 3 or 4 years?
4 years.
Wow. Okay.
Time flew.
And so, we started like very much when we were young.
Yeah.
How do you feel like, I guess, your idea for crocheting your business has kind of changed and morphed as you've gotten older and also kind of had this business for as long as you have?
So I would say, as I grew older, I realized this isn't really something that I can scale as a business, but it's something that will probably stay the size that it is now, because I wouldn't be comfortable hiring other people, because I just know I'll put out the best quality I can, but it'll be a lot for me to trust someone else to do the same. And yeah, so I just came to that realization. I also realized that this can't be the only form of income that I have, because I'll need to afford insurance for everything, rent, anything that comes up, food, all of that. And then when I have kids, that's definitely not going to sustain that. So it's just the realization that maybe this can't be a business that I can live off of, and just coming to terms with, now I have to find what I'm actually going to do with my life than just crocheting, because crocheting has been my identity since I really started it. And when people ask me, tell me about yourself, crocheting is always one of the first things I say. So now it's like I have to find a real job, try to maintain working, but trying to uphold my crochet page, and how long I would even be able to sustain my crochet page. Because as I get older and older, I'm like, if I'm 40 years old, am I still going to be doing this? And if I should prioritize still sharing my content because of the people that follow me, or if one day I should just stop, and if that's okay. Because I will say, I am kind of a people pleaser. I always have been. So my followers really mean a lot to me, the people who support me. So it's just a matter of one day I'm going to have to decide when I'm just going to let everything go and just think what's best for myself and my life. So I'll say that's the biggest thing that I realized as I've grown older with the crochet business.
I love how you and I really be thinking alike.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm going to answer that question too. But first, did you ever think that you would like be a designer? Like, was that something that you were passionate about? Like, what did you think you wanted to be when you were younger?
When I was younger, I never thought about being a designer. It was more so I was gonna be a computer engineer, but ever since I started my crochet page, that's when I switched it up and decided I'd go into business and try to scale my crochet work. But it's definitely something that I decided to do once I realized how many people like my stuff, because at first I was just sharing it to meet other artists because no one in my city crocheted, and I was just home all day. I didn't have anything to do, and I love social media, so I just like talking to other crochet artists and learning more about the art. So it's just something that came about. I definitely didn't plan on it. Yeah.
That's so interesting, because I feel like I also, never wanted. I fashion designer, me, no. Like I was studying to go to law school. That was what I originally had. But I think it's so interesting how having this business really has like changed the trajectory of the things that we thought we were gonna do.
Yeah.
And so I feel like in that sense, that's something that I'm very grateful for having started, because I definitely feel like having started this has brought me different opportunities, like being able to meet you, for example, and kind of just change my mindset and my perspective on so many different things, which is crazy to think about sometimes, that literally starting an Instagram page, like, literally made me make these decisions that made me go this way instead of that. And I think like you, like I'm having a lot of the same thoughts in terms of, what am I trying to do? Like, crocheting is an incredibly hard business to try to scale.
Yeah.
And I think I love crocheting, but definitely, like, I don't know if I can crochet at the capacity that I need to to make it a full-time
Yeah.
gig. And so for me, I feel like it's made me realize that I would love to be a businesswoman. You know, like I feel like I always knew this, but I feel like this helped to solidify that whatever that business is, I want that business. You know, I want to own it. I want to grow it. I want it to be centered in community in some sort of capacity.
Yeah.
And so while I have no idea what that's going to look like, I really like this business in terms of the potential it has to morph into something else.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it'll look like. You know, it could look like a crochet business 5 years from now, or it could be something completely, totally different.
Yeah.
But I'm excited about thinking about that prospect, and it's a prospect that I did not think about at all when I first started.
Yeah, on that note, like you said, it did make me realize, oh, I really like the business world. And every time someone asks me, oh, what do you want to do in 5 years? I do have an idea to create a creative studio, like to bring artists, so artists can have a space to meet each other, to have a safe space to create, whether that's painting or jewelry making, crocheting, because I love arts and crafts. I love anything. And I just feel like in any community, that could be a great space to have, because I didn't have that where I'm from. So that's just a dream.
That's
of
a
mine.
beautiful dream. And you already kind of see it morphing into that.
Yeah, that's why I
know?
started the picnic thing.
Yeah.
So I could like get a feel for it and try to eventually open that studio when the time comes.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
I can't wait to go.
Yeah, maybe we can do it together.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to be original. So you're on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
Did you see that one drama that went down with Taby Boop and
Oh yeah.
Karen?
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting. I don't know either creators. I don't even know how I found out about the drama.
I just saw it. Yeah.
And I thought that was such an interesting debate, right? Especially because we're in the crochet kind of world where we've seen these problems kind of arise before. Like for me, it's always been the difficult balance of, I mean, yes, it is fashion, and in that sense, I guess nothing is really original. We do get our inspiration from something else.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the balance of, you know, this is still my work.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of hard, especially if you're trying to sell your work, where you create something and someone wants to know the pattern and things like that.
Yeah.
Or they want to know where you get your yarn. And it's like, I want to share this with you, but then how will that affect my business?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of that, you know, like you don't go to Zara and ask them, you know.
How did you make this?
You know what I mean? So it's kind of that balance, especially because so many crochet accounts are small. It's only the individual at the moment. And so, yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot, yeah.
I would say my stance is there's a difference between being inspired by something that leads you to your own idea. Whether that idea already exists, that's different than you seeing that exact idea and then replicating that. Because that's more so copying than an inspiration that leads you to something similar that already exists.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people can reach the same final product without even seeing another person's work. But if you did knowingly replicate someone else's work, I think it's definitely a good thing to credit that person because that is exactly where you got that inspiration from. But let's say it's just a normal cut of a garment that isn't crocheted, that is very popular, let's say like a square neck dress, then that's not necessarily to credit someone because that's just a basic well-known piece that you crocheted. And or if you're just using someone's pattern but you don't say that you are and you're just marketing it as you made it, like you made it, but you also had other resources and you used the pattern to make that. So I feel like it's important to state things like that. But at the end of the day, like you said, everything is probably has been made before in fashion. So it is kind of hard to be original. But if you are knowingly copying or taking inspiration from someone, it's definitely nice to share that with other people.
I think I 100% agree with that take. I think also there's this extra layer of, you know, how are you profiting off of using somebody else's work? So whether that's, you're selling it yourself, which I mean happens in the fashion world anyway.
Yeah.
Or like you have an account and you're gaining following and therefore gaining money off of it as well. So I do think that there is that additional layer. But I think also, you know, when it comes to trying to be original or originality, I feel like even that term for me can kind of put pressure on me sometimes, because I feel like I need to have like some sort of signature, like something that people can know me by, something that no one has ever done before, which how do I know if someone has done that before? Like I truly don't know. And so I feel like for me, it's just more so about, again, designing strictly for the love of designing.
Yeah.
And like you said, if I'm knowingly being inspired by someone or trying to replicate someone's work, I will definitely for sure let you know, hey, this is replication, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, you know, that's the beauty of creativity in these creative worlds. Like, they all very subjective.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to have a judge and juror in these sorts of places to pinpoint, this is exactly where this came from.
So the camera overheated, so we're just going to skip over to the next topic now. I think we really got our points across in the last topic. So now we're just going to talk about where we find our inspiration.
I find my inspiration literally from anything, like literally anything. Music, books, TV shows, literally what are people just wearing, social media, my mom's closet, hair, like literally anything.
No, literally when I'm on campus and I see someone wearing something cool, I just get my camera out and I just take a low-key picture so I can remember what it was. And then that really inspires me, as well as just everyday fashion, not necessarily crochet. Knitwear really inspires me too. It makes me want to learn how to knit too.
Honestly, I hope one of these days, to be real, I can like save up and buy like, you know, one of those knitting machines.
Oh, the big ones. Yeah.
And learn how to use one of those, to be real.
And that would be a lot quicker too. I feel like that's something you could scale more than crocheting, just because there are knitting machines.
Yeah.
And that makes the process so much faster. Yeah.
Also, other designers, I would say, I also get inspiration from, because I feel like it'll open my mind to something.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'll see someone use beads or something in their work.
I was going to say that.
I'm like, oh, that is so cool. I should use pearls.
Yeah.
You know? Like, it'll open my mind to be like, oh, I can start introducing fabric into my crochet stuff. Or, like, different, you know, just, I don't know what to call it, but, you know.
Textures?
Yeah, different textures even too.
Yeah. I'll definitely say other artists really inspire me too. That's why I love just following anything that someone makes that's cool on Instagram, because people are so creative. Like, if I didn't follow other people on Instagram, my pieces probably wouldn't have evolved. They probably would have just been granny square everything, just whatever tutorials I could find on YouTube. But ever since I started really free-handed things, my inspiration from other artists really helped me elevate my projects, like adding beads, using different materials, using different fabrics with crochet, and especially how to style crochet items too. That really helps. Pinterest really helps, because I did not know how to style things back in the day. If you scroll down on my Instagram, it's come a long way. Because now I'm more so, I focus on the whole look, the whole aesthetic.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
And I think also something else is what felt different, like compared to 2020 to now, is also like just like the crochet community in itself.
It grew.
Yeah, I feel like in 2020 it was, you had the few people who had been crocheting before the pandemic started. But other than that, like, it was a lot of people learning the crochet, not that they had the time. And it's really been so cool to see how like everybody's crafting has just grown.
Yeah.
You know, has really just evolved. And, you know, I love that crochet is like cool now. Because
Me
it
too.
definitely was not when I was doing it before. And so that's something else that I really, really love. I definitely really love like the community of designers, the community of crocheters and knitwear, artists and crafters. It's really cool.
Yeah, I will say it was cool to see the evolution too, because we're kind of a part of that evolution when you think about it, because a lot of people look at us for inspiration and then they grow and do their own thing. Then people look at them. So it's just like a domino effect of new artists having their own style, introducing their own aesthetics into the crochet world, because now there's like fairy core crochet things, and there's grunge and streetwear. So it's cool to see the different aesthetics being put into crochet fashion. Then, because back then it was not.
It was really just very streamlined.
Yeah. So that's been cool to see. And speaking of, now we have some recommendations of crochet and knit artists that we would like to share. So I'll start off by, of course, us.
Yes, go ahead and follow us. Hooked by Brianna.
Yeah.
And Tico Couture.
And then we have, I'm sorry if I butcher these usernames, but I will also have them on the screen. So we have Bew Meadow. She makes a lot of cool clothing items. So then we have _Keelix. She makes a lot of cool handbags, like Y2K style, incorporating ribbons and stuff like that, which is really cool. Then Lintiment.s. She makes a lot of cool clothes too. I've been really into more ethereal looking items, and that's what a lot of these people make. I also have by.redbean. And yeah, those are my recommendations.
I've never heard of any of those accounts. I'm definitely going to have to check them out. So a couple of mine. First, we're going to shout out I.knit.that. I mean, changing the game of knitwear, like there's nothing else to say there. And then my little crochet sister, Angel Love Crochet Company, run by Dajane. I think she's 17. Maybe she just recently turned 18. She's young, but she's so talented. Next, I have Happy Campa by Cassie, one of the crochet accounts I met during the pandemic. So sweet.
Love her.
And her work is so colorful. Color is my thing. Next up, we have the Maddie Co. Her designs are also absolutely amazing. Like, you just have to check them out. Next, this one is a personal one. I interned for her. Chelsea B128 is a streetwear crochet artist, designer. Honestly, I know I shouldn't go on a rant. You know?
Can go on a rant.
But for Chelsea, I'll go on a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Because definitely just changing the game, period, both in crochet but also in the designer world, and really showcasing the possibility of growing the account, even if you're the only person working for it, like by doing partnerships with bigger brands like Jordan and Nike and all of those other things, you know what I'm saying? So definitely check her out. I promise. Okay, like, you're gonna love her. And then we got a couple more. Next up, we got Naughty Girl Threads, also an OG crocheter. Absolutely amazing. Love seeing her bralettes evolve. And finally, this is my girl. Okay, her name's Sandra. This is her at. It's Mihan Kushi Shay. I'm so sorry. I know I messed that up. But another wonderful, wonderful designer, okay? So go check every single one of these people out. I promise you, you will not regret it.
And you'll definitely find a lot of inspiration from all of them, too. But yeah, that's all we have for today's podcast episode. I hope y'all enjoyed it as much as we did.
I did. I enjoyed it a lot.
And make sure, like we said, go follow Dinah on her Instagram. She makes so many cool pieces, like her Beyonce outfit.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Her celebrity outfit recreations. I'm always looking forward to those. Yeah. And she has a YouTube channel too.
I do. You can find me, Dinah T. Cole Claudia. That's my name. You know, I think my videos are pretty cool.
They
They're
are.
right. You know, you can watch them while you crochet.
Yeah, so after you watch this video, go ahead and check hers out, and you won't be disappointed. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed, and peace.
Bye.